Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack one of the absolutely most fascinating and consequential moments in ancient literature. We're talking about a sequence that reads a lot less like a myth and way more like a high-stakes, cutthroat political thriller. We're looking at the Mahabharata, specifically the anatomy of a truly disastrous decision, the initiation of the second dice game. Today, we're mapping out exactly how political paranoia, unchecked vanity, and just a massive failure of leadership all converge to set off a catastrophic chain of events.
Just listen to the sheer existential dread dripping from this thought. Duryodhana, the leader of the Kuru faction, asks, "When one hath placed on the neck and back of venomous snakes full of wrath, is it possible for him to take them off?" Wow! This isn't just poetic language, folks. This is a cold, terrifying realization. It's really the ultimate cold open for us today. The Kuru faction has deeply wronged their cousins, the Pandavas, and Duryodhana is realizing that by letting them go, he hasn't achieved peace at all. He's basically just set a ticking time bomb. And it's this profound paranoia that serves as the engine driving everything we're about to explore.
So, let's kick things off with Section 1. The panic sets in. To really get why the Kuru faction is panicking so much, we have to look at the inciting incident. King Dhritarashtra has just attempted to defuse a highly volatile situation by completely reversing his son's previous victory, handing all their won wealth and power right back to the Pandavas. Now, to the Kuru brothers, this was a hard-fought political victory, wealth that was won with great trouble. And now, they watch in absolute horror as the old king just throws it away to their foes. Dussasana, one of the key brothers, is literally reeling from this. Afflicted with grief, he rushes without losing a single second to find his brother Duryodhana and complain about their father's weakness. I mean, the panic here is just palpable.
And, well, that panic leads straight to the formation of what we can basically call the vanity faction. This incredibly tight inner circle consists of Duryodhana, Karna, Sakuni, and Dussasana. The source text explicitly points out that these four were guided by vanity. It's an echo chamber, right? They're united in absolute haste to counteract the sons of Pandu. They don't pause for a second to consider the long-term consequences of defying the king or pushing the Pandavas even further. Their bruised egos and this sudden loss of power just demand immediate action.
Which brings us to Section 2, Wrath of the Pandavas.
Now, Duryodhana knows he can't just go to his dad, the king, and whine to get the money back. He needs to frame the Pandavas as an absolute, imminent, lethal threat. Because, nothing says family bonding quite like a preemptive military strike against your cousins. To pull this off, he uses a brilliant rhetorical move, invoking the learned Brihaspati, preceptor of the Celestials. Those enemies that always do wrong by stratagem or force should be slain by every means. By quoting Brihaspati, Duryodhana is elevating a purely personal vendetta into a matter of objective statecraft. He's basically arguing that striking first isn't just a good idea, it's a political mandate when you're dealing with a hostile force.
But, theoretical quotes aren't going to cut it. He presents hard intelligence detailing the terrifying preparations of each and every Pandava brother. The cinematic imagery of this incoming doom is striking. You've got Arjuna encased in mail, breathing hard, taking up his legendary Gandiva bow. Bhima is hastily riding his chariot, violently whirling his heavy mace. Nakula has his sword and shield ready, while Sahadeva and King Yudhishthira are actively assembling their forces. Duryodhana uses this data to paint a picture of an undeniable threat. These aren't just angry cousins anymore. This is a fully mobilized, heavily armed military unit that has just been deeply, deeply humiliated.
And that leads Duryodhana to ask this incredibly powerful rhetorical question. Who is there among them that will forgive that insult to Draupadi? This right here is the absolute crux of the matter. The Kuru faction publicly humiliated the Pandava's wife, Draupadi, in the royal court. Duryodhana is bluntly stating a harsh psychological reality. Nobody forgives that. They've crossed a point of absolutely no return. Retaliation isn't just a possibility here. It's a guaranteed inevitability.
All right, moving to Section 3, the treacherous exile plan.
So how exactly do you neutralize heavily armed warriors without fighting a war you'll probably lose? The answer is cold, calculating, and completely asymmetrical. It all rests on one guy, Sakuni. The text states it plainly. Sakuni knoweth well the whole science of dice. They aren't going to fight the Pandavas on a battlefield where Arjuna's bow or Bhima's mace could just crush them. No, they're going to fight them on a table where Sakuni has absolute, unassailable mastery. The strategy is to force another game.
a game the Pandavas' honor will absolutely compel them to accept, but one they are mathematically guaranteed to lose.
And the mechanics of this trap are meticulously engineered to destroy the Pandavas completely. It's not just the loss of wealth this time around. Step 1, the losers have to live in the woods, dressed in animal skins for 12 grueling years. Step 2, they must spend the 13th year back in civilization, but entirely unrecognized. And Step 3, which is the real kicker, if they are recognized during that 13th year, the entire 12-year clock resets. It's a cyclical nightmare designed to just keep their enemies permanently marginalized. Now, I want to pause on this number for a second. 13. 13 years. Why 13? Because this isn't just about punishing the Pandavas. This is a highly calculated buffer period. Duryodhana actually spells out exactly what he intends to do with that 13-year window. His strategic goals are crystal clear: firmly root themselves in the kingdom, make unbreakable alliances, assemble a vast and invincible host, and, crucially, keep that host content. The exile is a stalling tactic. It's Duryodhana explicitly saying, give me 13 years without them bothering us, and I will build a military and political machine so massive that when they finally do return, defeating them will be entirely effortless.
Which brings us to our final act, Section 4, ignoring the wise counsel.
So the trap is set, and the logic is, well, sound from the perspective of the paranoid instigators. But they still need the king's official seal of approval to actually summon the Pandavas back to the dice board. Unbelievably, the king folds almost immediately. He says, bring back the Pandavas then, even if they've gone a great way. Dhritarashtra hears the paranoid, aggressive logic of his son Duryodhana, and he instantly capitulates. He doesn't interrogate the plan. He doesn't ask for a second opinion. He just immediately issues the order to bring the Pandavas back to cast the dice.
But here's the thing. The king isn't operating in a vacuum. Drona, Somadatta, Valhika, Gautama, Vidura, Bhishma, Karna. If you know anything about the lore of this era, you know these aren't just random courtiers. These are the heavyweights. We're talking about the most brilliant military commanders, the wisest statesmen, the most respected elders, and the king's own highly trusted relatives. They are the intellectual and moral foundation of the entire kingdom.
And what do they think of this plan? Well, it's unanimous. Across the board, these titans of wisdom stand together and say, let not the play commence. Let there be peace. They see right through Duryodhana's paranoia. They understand that rigged dice games and forced exiles do not secure a kingdom. They only guarantee a future apocalypse. They offer a completely unified plea for de-escalation.
This right here is the fulcrum on which the entire epic pivots. On one side, you have the collective, objective wisdom of the greatest minds in the empire literally begging for peace. On the other side, you have a leader's blind partiality to his ambitious, paranoid sons. It is a classic, timeless conflict between objective counsel and subjective bias.
And sadly, the text tells us exactly which side wins out. Disregarding them all, Dhritarashtra summoned the sons of Pandu. This is the final, devastating action. In one single sentence, the king ignores the greatest advisory board ever assembled, gives in entirely to nepotism and fear, and officially sets the great tragedy into motion. The trap is sprung, not just on the Pandavas, but ultimately on themselves.
Which leaves us with this final, really lingering thought. When a leader's fear of a rival's success overrides the wisdom of their most trusted advisors, is disaster simply a matter of time? The Mahabharata uses a rigged dice game to explore this, but honestly, the underlying psychology is terrifyingly modern. Whether it's an ancient royal court or a modern corporate boardroom, this explainer forces us to ask how easily logic gets discarded when fear, vanity, and blind loyalty take the wheel. Just think about that the next time you see a disastrous decision unfold in real time. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.